I think it. I mean, I got the last quarter wrong last year, so who am I to be the right person to get it this one right? My guess, I still think higher. I still think we actually got a strong run to come. I think this kind of year-long sideways correction that we've essentially had is just a springing board to further gains as more adoption rolls out, more use cases roll out, etc. I still think risk-adjusted, ETH will do extremely well over time, just because, the reason why it's expensive to use is because it's so damn popular, right? And so, it's like a chain of prestige now for things to be built on, because it is the more decentralized of all of the other layer ones. So it makes sense to me. I think with the change towards ETH 2.0 coming as well, I think that narrative will build over time as well. So I still think the upside in ETH is massive in terms of market cap. Where could it go? It can go another 10x from here in terms of market cap alone. Over what period of time? Who knows? Yeah, I think it will. Whether it's 2022 or not, don't really have a strong view. My guess is probably. And again, that shouldn't be taken as, oh, ETH's better than Bitcoin. It's like comparing Apple's market cap with Tesla's market cap. They're just two entirely different things, and that's okay. So the other layer ones may well outperform, but you have more risk in them. So we've seen, for example, Solana got tested over this recent sell-off, and the chain's still a bit clunky. It has its own set of problems. And all of these come with different sets of problems. But in the right market, because they're seeing earlier adoption, the rate of change goes up faster. So from going from 1 billion to 2 billion is much easier than going from 10 billion to 20 billion or 300 billion to 600 billion. So rate of change terms, they can perform very well, but they're riskier. So ETH has that balance of being more risky than Bitcoin because it's less decentralized, as we talked about before, less pure, but it still has the massive network adoption that we're looking for, which is the thing that drives prices. And network adoption is just not people buying it, it's people using it and applications being built on it. It's how you connect all the people on the network. And ETH is still far superior than anything else, but these others are coming up from a lower base. So it's that balance of risk reward. I mean, there will be lots of times you'll have FOMO if you own ETH because something else will do a lot better. Now, that's what the Bitcoin investors will say too, is, okay, fine, other chains may outperform, but we're happy with the security and the safety of owning Bitcoin, and that's fine too. There's always a risk curve somewhere across all financial markets. I have no idea. I've literally no clue. 1 week it looks like it's a terrible FOMO market. So 1 minute it looks like Solana, next minute you've missed the run in Terra, and then you've missed AVAX, and then you've missed Polkadot. It's a nightmare. So the answer is I literally have no idea. You notice that there's a huge amount of investors who are very bullish on Terra still, including Remy, who works for me, who was a co-founder of Real Vision and works for me at Global Macro Investor. He's a big investor in that space, loves it, and a lot of people are. A lot of people that I think are very important investors in the space are very bullish on Polkadot still, and they have been for a long time. It's never really done what everybody expected it to do. But, again, you got to keep your mind open to these things. Or it could be something else. Something else comes out of the blue, finds a different use case, and before you know it. So it's really hard to trade this kind of stuff. It depends whether it goes into the news on a high or into the news on a low. It depends how the price action is. Now, and ETH won't remain the greatest trade forever. Don't forget, I bought ETH, I don't even remember what price. It was a long way ago and a lot lower. So, that's proven itself out. It did 500% last year or 480%. So, you don't have to reprove the trade every year now from my entry price. Will I trade out of ETH into something else? For sure. When? No idea. Or will I just add other tokens, protocols, opportunities, and just keep my ETH holding? I really don't know. I keep it fluid. Unless I see something that fundamentally seems wrong. Maybe the sharding on ETH allows for breakages that we didn't perceive, and it becomes more difficult to use when you go to ETH 2.0 and it takes a while to get it right. well, maybe things move to other chains for a while, and that's fine too. So it's not a crusade for me. It's a opportunistic investment. I think it's a long-term investment. I don't really think, I've already been in the trade for well over a year. Am I likely to be in the trade for the next 3 years? Most likely. Could I sell out of half of it if ETH's trading at 20K? For sure. It's a hard question, because I would be saying, if you're 25 and it's $10,000, you can fuck it up and it won't change your life. But if you get it right, it'll change your life. Now, so that says, okay, let's take some risk. The issue is where? It's really hard to know, as we talked about, with all of the developments in, let's say, layer ones, what's really going to get the traction for the next phase here? I don't know. Is it going to be NFTs? Well, you really have to know what you're doing, and maybe you should spend the time. You probably need to put your 1,000 hours in to start just figuring out, okay, what is my specialization? Where do I think I can understand the market better? And then take a bet accordingly. I don't see one clear opportunity. As I said, you could choose ETH, but maybe that's not as risky as you really want it to be, because you want to look for the 100Xs. That requires work, requires Discord channels, knowing who's in the community, following what people like Delphi Digital are up to, the real thought leaders in the space. So it's not a straightforward answer, but the opportunity is there. And I think it's all about becoming a specialist in something and not trying to be a generalist. And don't just choose one protocol or one token itself. Choose a range or a particular area that you think you understand, learn everything about it, and then decide where to take that risk and where the good bets can lie. So maybe it's DeFi that you're interested in. Then you can look at, okay, what's something really new and upcoming that you think might be groundbreaking and it's got some amazing investors in it. Okay, maybe you take a position in that, but also in Aave, as a balance to your portfolio to make sure that you don't screw it up by just taking too much risk in one go and getting it wrong on one single bet. I'm actually struggling to answer that because I don't know the answer right now. Because what we're seeing is the network, so the digital asset ecosystem hasn't grown a lot in new users. So everyone's been thrashing around internally, buying NFTs, buying DeFi, selling DeFi, buying layer one, selling layer ones. But, that's what they're doing. One bet that's obvious to me that's coming, in fact, there's two bets that I've starting to think about. One is a resurgence of DeFi, because institutions, hedge funds, everybody's looking at this space, and it's probably the fastest innovating space in all of crypto. So I think there lies a big opportunity. The other opportunity that's pretty overlooked is interoperability. So the way of moving assets cross chains. So that's a really interesting area for somebody to get to know, because if we're right about the metaverse, we said part of the key functionality is pick up a shit up here and move it over there, right? If that's Ethereum and that's Solana, we need to solve that. Same with digital identity that needs to move across everywhere and be applicable everywhere, not just in your ETH wallet. So I think those two things feel like they haven't pumped recently and probably deserve the market's attention at some point. I think that social tokens, and I talked about this, I think even with you guys before, is social tokens are still not on people's radar screens. They don't really understand it. I think the Bored Ape Yacht Club ape token is going to be something that will show to people the power of social tokens and why they're different to NFTs. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of that coming. I'm working on many projects on that, including looking at it for Real Vision. So social tokens, I think, are new and up and coming. People that understand them. DeFi, interoperability.